always create a strategy to achieve those dreams. And it's not certain that you are going to achieve them, but it's a lot better for you to try to achieve something that is your dream and stay a bit under it than just trying to achieve something that is average and achieving it. You know, I prefer to fail trying to go for my dreams than to achieve going for an average life.
Amos Madra.
Hello and a very warm welcome. I'm joined by UEFA licensed coach, senior female first team coach for Benfica, coach of the coaches, and of course a mentor and so much more. It is of course André Vale. A very warm welcome to you. How are you doing, sir?
Hello, Amos. I'm very good. I'm very good. Thank you for asking, and thank you for the invitation. For me, it's a privilege to be here and to be able to share a bit of my story and of my dreams.
You know, you're such an inspiration. I was just saying to you before we started, I was just snooping around and just, I was engrossed in your videos and, the work that you do. You are truly the coach of the coaches, and you've got a great heart for people. You really care for people. You want to see the best in your players. I remember, you telling the story of 13-year-olds who were written off. They were said there's no chance to become professional, and then they became professional. There's so many stories that we could go into, but I just think you as a person are very remarkable. Tell us
Thank
about
you.
your story. How did you become this coach, and where did the love for coaching people and for the beautiful game come from?
So it's quite a long story, but I know we have the time to speak a bit about it. If you want, interrupt me at any time, okay? But yeah, yesterday I did Monday I did like a very big video about that because people started to see my videos and started to see a bit of my story, and they were wondering where did this guy come from? Why is he like this? So I recorded like a huge video, like 1 hour and a half, just speaking about my path, but not to brag about, but to inspire. I never tend to brag about, and I think each and every one of us has a spark inside ourselves that we should learn what it is and what's our purpose here, so that we can live here and being sure that we have helped as many people as we could. And that's who I am today. But this comes a long way. And in the beginning, I was a lot about myself. I was much more ego, until I started to understand that I was not alone in the world, and that alone I wouldn't go anywhere. And by trying to go as further as I can alone, I probably wouldn't reach nowhere. Okay, and I was previously in a moment where I wasn't enjoying the path, and I just wanted to go for objectives. Yeah, but taking back to the beginning, my relationship with football started really young. So I started to play when I was a small kid, but it was just for fun. I was an average player. I was not a top player. I played until I was like under 13s, and then I decided to stick with school, for a very simple reason. I had to choose between studying in the morning so that I would have the schedule to train in the afternoon, or stay with all my friends but stay in an afternoon schedule, which wouldn't allow me to keep practicing football, because at that time football practices were very early in the afternoon, and I decided to go and stick with my friends. And yeah, and it was like that. I followed my studies. I became a master in engineering, which was also a fun story, because to the previous day where I had to decide what studies to go in university, I had no clue what I wanted to do. And so I decided on the previous day of delivering the papers that I would go for environmental engineering, because I like nature, and my pick was like that. Oh, I like nature, I like mathematics, so let's go to environmental engineering. And the fact is that the beginning of the course was really rough, because I was completely unsure of what I was doing, which I think that is pretty normal. I think that it's not easy at all for kids and youngsters to choose a path that supposedly will define all their future lives when they are 17 or 18. I think society needs to really start to look more deep into the educational system. I'm not sure if in the UK is similar, but I think roughly similar around the world, where at the age of 17, when most of the kids have zero personal development, they have to choose something that society makes them think that they will have to stick with that for the rest of their lives. Otherwise, they will be taken for losers. Oh, you're a loser. You study medicine and now you don't want to be a doctor. What the hell, are you crazy? Or you did a master in engineering. You could work in the best companies in the world, earn a lot of money, and now you want to be a football coach. Are you crazy? And this is what society makes of us these days, you know. And so I was a bit lost, but I was able to stay in the course. But I started to have that spark and my mentality that was telling me that, okay, this is not your path, but because I know you want to be safe, let's finish the course. Let's show yourself that you can finish a course you don't like, and then you decide what you will do with your life. And this was my mentality after the first and second year. Okay. So what then started to happen was that after the third year in university, I really started to enjoy the course. I went into the master part of the course, and it was much more practical than theoretical. And I really started to enjoy it. And when I reached the final of the course, while I was doing my master thesis, I was invited to stay as a researcher in the university. Yeah. So I didn't finish the course, and I already had a job. So this is what was happening at the moment. And I accepted. I stayed there for 2 years doing research. Then I was invited to go to the biggest Portuguese laboratory of research. But through this path, I started to discover a bit of myself, because at the time I was 22, and I started to understand that I was just reacting to what the world expected of me. I was not thinking by myself. I was not sure of who I was and who I wanted to be. And what I started to be sure is that I worked as a researcher, which supposedly should help research better things for the world to develop. And I started to understand that I had no clue if I was helping anyone. I had no clue if I was helping, who was I helping? And I started to feel quite empty. Okay. I started to really dislike my work. I started to question everything about my work. And it was the moment where I started to understand that I didn't belong there. Okay. So then it was one of those moments where I was away in the UK. I had the weekend off, and I decided to remember my old days passion, which was football. At the time, I wasn't fit to play anymore, and I didn't want to really play. But I started to look into the game in a more different way. And while I was in the UK, I signed up to do UFC, the first level of football coach. And I really enjoyed it. It was an amazing weekend. One of the things I like the most is to travel the world and share experiences. So it was amazing to be with foreign people in a foreign country, completely outside of my comfort zone, doing that course. It was like 2 weekends. And I started to think, maybe it's not so crazy that I think about doing this with my life. Okay. And then I returned to Portugal. I worked a couple of days more, and I quit everything. Yeah. And that's my beginning story, which was quite complicated through the end, because imagine you have like a master degree, you have a job that will probably take you, or would probably take me, to do a PhD and then to become a university professor. And suddenly you get home and you tell your loved ones, I'm quitting. I don't want this. I'm starting all over again. I have no clue if it's not going to work. But at that moment and at that time, my idea, and it was very simple, because nowadays I read a lot about coaching, mental work, mindfulness, yoga, Buddhism, and so on. But at that time, the thing that took me to this path was, are you happy or are you unhappy? And I was miserably unhappy at the time. So I'm like, yeah, it's pointless to stay here in this world if it's to keep like this. And if I don't change the thing that is making me miserable, which is my work, it will be like this forever. Even if I change company, if I win more money, I don't care about money. Don't make decisions only based on money, something that I learned and I still focus on. But I was miserably unhappy. And so that was my power and my strength to quit everything, to go against everyone. As you can imagine, there was close to none people supporting a decision where you quit an engineering job and you say, I'm going to try and become a football coach. And it was a rough fight, but my mentality started to change instantly. As soon as I quit my job, I felt that the weight of the world was not anymore on my shoulders. It was starting to relieve a bit. And then I started to work as an intern with kids in Benfica, earning nothing. So it was an internship. And it was exactly how it started. It was like that.
Amazing. Absolutely incredible. And I think there's so many things that we could unpick from that, from a very young age. I think without you realizing it, when you were thinking about what path should I do? Should I plan for mornings, afternoons? How do I schedule my day? I think you were already coaching yourself. You already, without realizing that, you already had the gifts of a coach. You were already scheduling, planning, because that's exactly what a coach does. They plan and then they work to that plan, and it's just getting the team to execute to that plan. And you're already doing that without realizing it. And then, of course, as an engineer, there's a lot of logic, there's a lot of
Yeah.
thinking about, planning again. But I think the boldness, the risk to say this is not who I am, to then step out and to do something really in your family's eyes and your loved ones just did not make any sense. It's like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? But
Exactly.
it was, it's the best thing you could ever do. It's the best decision, and here we are. Let's talk about Benfica. Let's talk about the football. How did that journey progress from that internship?
So at the time, as I was telling you, I was much about myself, and that was the question that I did. So am I happy or unhappy? It was not so much about the world at that time, it was about me. But I think it was a really important phase, because before I found my place in the world and what I wanted to live in this world, I had to find myself. And so I was at a moment where it was a bit of ego, or a lot of ego, and not so much caring about my purpose. But then we'll get into this part. So I started to be an intern, and as you said, I came from an engineering course, so I was really logical, I was really rational at the time, and my thoughts were really simple. Okay, how can I develop as fast as possible? And that was my motto for a couple of time on the beginning. I started trainings around 5 p.m. I finished at around 10:30 in the night. And yeah, I wanted to develop really quickly. So the normal is for coaches to do 2 to 3 days at the club. I did all the days. So I did all the days. I took a notebook with me. I wrote everything on the notebook, every drill, every feedback from the other coaches that I was learning with. And I also sometimes took a recorder so that I could record everything that they said, because a lot of times it's hard for you to write at the same time that you are seeing the exercises and thinking about things. So yeah, I started to record a couple of sessions so that then when I got home at night, I was able to write everything in a clean sheet and have all my notes so that I could study. Because the fact is that most of the people that go to do internships in football, they come from the football area or from sports degrees, and I came from engineering. So I had to use my strengths because I was quite different from everybody else, But one thing that I brought from engineering that was completely differentiated the way that I did things was that I could work relentlessly, which these days I find that it's not healthy for you. But at the time, I could work straight on week after week of doing like 14, 15 hours a day, studying. And I was able to do that for quite some time. So I developed really quickly. When I did my UFSC, I then stayed with some networking, of course, to do my UFB license. And it was a really rough beginning, rough in regards to hours, but I was finally understanding I like what I'm doing. I study hours and hours and hours, and I'm not tired. I'm happy with it, and I go to sleep happy with it, and I wake up motivated to do this over and over again. The only thing that started to be a little discomfort was that after 2 to 3 months, so I already had a wage from my previous job, and when I quit everything, I stopped receiving any money. Yeah. So at that moment, I decided, okay, my mornings are free. So my mornings and the afternoons until 4:30, because I started trainings at 5, were free. Let me try to get a job to put here. So I was already studying at night, doing the training courses, but I was able to find a job. But at the moment, it had to be something that was mentally challenging. So I was in I wouldn't say a dark place, because it was getting light, I was starting to see the light, but I needed a work that was completely challenging so that my mind was completely focused on what I had to do. And it was important that I had no time to think, did you do the correct decision? Are you going to stick through this? Are you going to be able to achieve? Because at the moment where I quit, I was happy and all, but everybody else around me, and also my brain, was like, did you do a correct decision? Have you made it? Have you planned it properly? Are you in the correct path? And so I decided to find a job that at the moment, I thought, okay, what's the hardest thing that I can do at the moment where I can give a bit of the knowledge that I have? And so that's when I found that supposedly really bad neighborhood, really outside of Lisbon. I say really bad neighborhood because a lot of times what you see in the news is not the truth. Today is a place that I still call home. It's a place where I go every time that I can. I go there once or twice a week because I love to be there. I love the people. But at the time, I was having lunch with my parents, and we looked at the TV, and there was a news flash about some shoot and run crime that had happened in a neighborhood really close to Lisbon. And I was like, this is what I want. I want to go to a place where they say it's really bad, and I want to make a change here. And I'm going there, and I'm going to offer my knowledge in mathematics, physics, biology, and so on, so that I can help the kids, because I'm sure in a place like this, they have no one that can help them trying to become better at school. So my focus there was to helping them get better at school. And it was just like that. I went there, I explained what I could do. I asked if I could be a volunteer. They, of course, they agree with it, because it's not normal for an engineering to show up in a place like this and want to do volunteering there. And I did volunteer for like 3 weeks, and I connected so well with the kids that I was invited to stay as a worker after 3 weeks. Yeah, and I have been there, or I was there for 10 years until I became fully professional in football. And now I asked for a license so that I was able to work professionally in football, but I still go there. I still go there once a week or twice a week, and all the kids have my number, and sometimes I tutor them online and so on. But that was, for me, the game changer, was to go there, because the reality was completely different. It was, I can tell you, on the first day I was there, I left my car outside of the neighborhood because I was afraid to get inside the neighborhood with my car. So it was this kind of place. And today I walk through the neighborhood. I know, I won't say everybody, but I know a lot of people, and it's a place that I love. And it was the place where I stopped to be ego, and I started to be, what's my purpose in the world? What mark do I want to leave in the world? Because I started to understand that there are a lot of people in the world, there are a lot of different stories. Mine is no different from others. Mine is not harder than others, because I started to meet people that had such hard lives, and I started to be aware of it, trying to help raising their kids. Because one thing that I started to understand in the neighborhood is, sometimes people that start to commit crimes, it's not because they want to commit crimes, it's because of, on their childhood, probably they had parents that had to work 2 or 3 jobs, and the parents had to choose between being able to feed the kids or being able to raise them properly. And if I was on their place, I would do exactly the same. First, I have to feed my children, then I have to educate them. And yeah, it was like this that I started to go into a different mental state, because they say in the neighborhood, in the association that I worked with, that it was amazing for them to have me there, but I see it completely the other way around. They saved me mentally, and they allowed me to become mentally who I am today.
Andre, you're so inspirational. There's just, there's no measure to, the good that you offer to people. And again, just to go and give your time, but then also to, give and get back as well. So, those communities gave back to you as well. And,
Yeah.
again, this is a great example why so many people should volunteer, give their time to these neighborhoods so that, we pull them up and rather than keep them down, because the whole of society benefits. We all benefit when we're all doing very well, and it's good for humanity as well. So, thank you for the great work that you do. And I think we'll be talking more about this soon. For now, the women's game, it's come a very long way. It's on all of our TVs. You cannot miss it. It's everywhere. We've got a World Cup this year. Talk to us about how the game has grown in the years and what you hope to see in the future.
So it has been an amazing path. To let you know, I was working in male football when I was called to go to Benfica senior female squad. I was working with males, and so my experience with women is this one in Benfica. So 2.5 years ago, and it was really surprising for me because when I went there, I started to study when I had the proposition, but I was unaware of how it was, how the development was, and it has been a great pleasure. First, because in regards to my social mentality, also the empowerment of women is one thing that I really like, I really love, and to be able again to have a purpose of helping women to raise their awareness and their knowledge of the game so that they can really become who they want to become. It was like, okay, this is great. This is like matching football that I love with the social capacity of helping people to be their best version. So it was amazing. Then the game developed a lot even since I got there. You start to see that TVs are always looking into female football. I'm not sure yet if everybody is looking into female football for the correct reasons. Okay, and I let you. My idea about this is really simple. It's growing so much that brands want to be a part of it. So I'm not sure if it's really because they worry and they care about the empowerment of women, or it's because women are everywhere these days and they want to go and have their brands associated with such a big thing, But either way, they are helping the sport to develop by putting money into it, by allowing it to become a big entertainment, and that helps a lot in the development of senior female football, but also everything that comes behind it, which is the youth formation, the possibility for small ladies and small girls to become footballers as they want, and the fact is that we are walking that path. One thing that I find that is major important is that we don't forget about the underdeveloped and the developed, the countries that are developing, because those don't have the same power, those don't have the same visibility, but they also have all those girls in the country that want to play, that a lot of times are not allowed to play. And so it should be something that we should look with care, and that we should also focus on, not just Europe and the United States, where everything seems brilliant and is going into an amazing direction. In regards to female football itself, for me, it was really nice. The capacity of the players is getting higher and higher. The only thing that they are still developing is the understanding of the game, but which is quite normal because boys start to play football when they are 4, 5, 6-year-olds, and normally they can get a club at that age with a coach, and they are coached since they are 6 until they reach the senior level, 18, 17, 19, or whatever. Female football, the girls that are professional these days, a lot of them only started to play when they were like 12, 13, 14, even 16. And the coaches that they had were not probably the best, because the best coaches tended to be on the male game, and so their understanding of the game is developing. Okay, in Benfica we have the luck, of course, to have really top players, and this is something that goes more or less unnoticed, but it's the random idea that I have is that we still have a bit to go in regards to the understanding of the game that they have, but I think that will naturally improve as we start to receive players that start to play really young. You understand? But the big difference is that they are very curious, they are eager for the knowledge, and they ask you a lot of things. They want to know every detail about everything, and that for me as a coach is really challenging, because I always have to be in the top of my toes, always ready to answer questions. So everything that you plan and do on a training session, you have to know what you're doing, because someone will have a question about it. Someone will ask you, okay, so I like it, but what's the relation of this to the game? And you have to be ready to explain. And for me, that is amazing, because as you understood, I like to speak, I like to teach, I like people to develop as much as they can. And so, yeah, it has been amazing, because it's different, but it's really, really, really enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, it's been great to have you here today. And I really want to give something for the audience to take away, because it's not often that we come across coaches and, great people like yourself who've done so much for, your community and for people. And, you've got a great heart for people. Now, there's so many of us, we want to change, we want to do things in life, but we find ourselves sometimes overwhelmed, and we find ourselves saying yes to things when we should say no. And also, we don't think about who we want to be. I remember you said earlier, you didn't think about your own life. You were just in autopilot and just doing what society expected you to do. So let's finish this now with some wise words from you, which you've been giving us throughout the interview. What can we do to understand ourselves better, to maybe say no to some things that are a distraction, and to have that will and determination to push through to be the best that we can?
That's a really complex question with a lot of information, but I'll try to give you a proper answer. So the first thing that I think that everybody should understand is that your dreams were given for you for a reason. So trust them, understand why they were given to you. And if they don't scare you, it's because you are not dreaming high enough. That was one of the things that I learned, that I really believe in, is that if your dreams don't scare the shit out of you, you are not dreaming properly, And then always create a strategy to achieve those dreams. And it's not certain that you are going to achieve them, but it's a lot better for you to try to achieve something that is your dream and stay a bit under it, than just trying to achieve something that is average and achieving it. I prefer to fail trying to go for my dreams than to achieve going for an average life. And then create a strategy. I think that people these days, they desire things, but they expect them to fall from the sky, to fall from the stars, and they don't set a plan. And then people lack the consistency to follow through the plan that they develop. And I normally say that you have two ways. You can have an easy life, or an easy path that will lead you to a hard life, or you can have a hard path that it will lead you to an easier life, and it's a matter of choosing, because the pain of regret is a lot worse than the pain of sacrifice of doing things daily. People these days approach me a lot to ask me as a coach, how do I deal with the pressure and what kind of activities do I do? And people expect things that work instantly, And when I explain people that, if you want to learn how to meditate or how to breathe properly, it's something that you have to do every day. And probably it will take you like 3 to 4 weeks to start to seeing some results. And again, it's consistency. You have to be sure of what you want, because I'm sure that most of the people that ask me, when they receive the answer, and it's a process that takes so long, people are like, I'm going back to my pills, and I think it's a lot of that. Today's society is really fast. You get everything on the tip of your toes. You just click somewhere and you get instantly what you need. And we tend to forget that as human beings, we don't work like that. The food that we take takes its time to give to us its nutrients. The mental health that we want takes its time to achieve it. The physical health that we want takes us time to achieve it. You don't go to the gym 1 week or 1 day and you start to see results. And what happens to most people? They go there 1 week, they feel really tired, they quit. And so it's a matter of sticking really to who you are and trying to predict before you start what's going to happen so that you are ready. So if I'm going to start to train on the gym, I know that I will be sore, I know that I will be tired, I know that this is normal, so normalize it. But I know that if I push through, after 2 or 3 weeks, I will start to feel a lot better. And trying to stick up to the plan and have the consistency to achieve it. So I think that it's major for people to start to have a dream, have a plan, stick to your plan for a couple of time, and then adjust the small details that you need to adjust accordingly. One of the things that you asked me about is something that it's coachable. So you have to learn to say no. So create a task every day where it's mandatory for you to say no to something. And it's mandatory. You have to choose throughout your day what you say no to. It can be to go out with friends. It can be to go out to dinner. It can be to stay up late or to see a Netflix series instead of go and study. You choose, but start with one. And then you'll start to understand how that frees you time for you to pursue what we spoke previously about the plan that you defined, you know?
Wow. Oh my goodness. Oh, so much to take from this. You know, it's been so good. I hope we can get you back on again because I think we need to do this again. It's been
Definitely,
so good
definitely.
talking to you. So, Andre, before we let you go, how can the audience connect with you? Of course, you've got your social media where they can connect. You've got your YouTube as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very open in regards to my small schedule of time, but I'm very open because one of the things that I really believe is, okay, I have achieved a certain level, but I want everybody else to also achieve it. If you want to be a football coach and you want to achieve a top level, you should have the right to do it. And that's exactly my idea with the social networks. I tell you, I don't like social networks at all, but I feel that they are the most efficient way for you to achieve all the world. And my idea is exactly this. So the project that I'm doing on my Instagram, in my Instagram, André Vale, has the proper idea to get to the places in the world where people don't have good football knowledge or where they cannot get good football knowledge. But everywhere in the world these days, people have a cell phone and people can access the internet. That's what the world has given us of good so far. So let's use it for a greater good. And that's my idea, so that everybody in the world, so that a coach in the middle of Asia that doesn't have the possibility to take a football course or to have good football formation, he can access my social network and he can at least have the basics or send me a message of what should I do with my under 15s or what should I do with the small children that is always destroying my training sessions and so on. So yeah, that's the general idea of the social part. And you can follow me on YouTube and on Instagram on under my name, André Vale.
Okay, fantastic. We'll put all the links there. And thank you again so much for your time today.
Thank you so much. It has been lovely, Amos. Thank you so much.
If you want some amazing inspiration, check out the videos next to me, and I'll see you right there.